As predicted in our Lady Loki video, we now know the real name of the female variant of Loki. Now again, due to the fact that this video is coming out after the third episode, I really don't know what the end goal of the character origins of this version of Sylvie will be, but I'm going to assume and continue to assume that she is a variant of Loki until I am told otherwise. Taking the name Sylvie, it's obvious that this version of Loki hates the others, or at least that's what the show appears to be setting up. Now, once we get into the weeds of this character's comic book origins, you might start to understand why this version might have a grudge against the Loki we all know and love. But before we begin, one awesome tool that we've been using to collect and hunt comics for a while now is Key Collector. Key Collector is an app that I use almost daily when doing research for videos as well as pricing things for myself that I want to buy. It is a massive database that helps you track down the key issues that you want, and the paid subscription fee alerts you to the latest key issues that are heating up in value. Trust me, there is no better way to look for gold out there. If you use our link also, you can get 2 weeks of the premium account status today, so follow the link in our description or go to keycollectorcomics.com/keyissues. Today's video is going to cover the comic book origins and a brief history of the second Enchantress, Sylvie Lushton. However, the character in the show does seem to be fairly unrelated to the Enchantress of the comics, which implies that I think they're going to smash a little bit of different versions of the character together. However, in order to best understand the first appearance of Sylvie, you first need to understand just a little bit about the events surrounding her first appearance. Following the events of Secret Invasion, which was a large-scale invasion of the Marvel Universe by the Skrulls, there was a significant power shift away from the traditional heroes of the MCU and towards Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn was responsible for eventually killing the Skrull Queen Varanki. When she died, Norman used his success as leverage to massively increase his influence in the Marvel Universe. He took over S.H.I.E.L.D., replaced it with Hammer, and formed a cabal with a number of villains like Dr. Doom, the Hood, Loki, and others. Norman even assembled his own Avengers, dubbed the Dark Avengers in title only, and began acting as the Avengers within the world, with the traditional heroes kind of outlawed. Sylvie's first appearance was part of a new group of heroes, and the second incarnation of the Young Avengers. If you want background on the formation of the original Young Avengers, then check out our comic history of Wiccan and Speed. Sylvie Lushton's first appearance is in Dark Reign Young Avengers #1, in a story titled Young Masters, where we meet an entirely new crew of Young Avengers. Now, you can't see me doing air quotes, but I am doing air quotes right now because this team is very much not Avengers material. After a robbery, 4 robbers are shown leaving a convenience store and are immediately met with the new Young Avengers. The new Young Avengers team is comprised of Big Zero, Egghead, Melter, Enchantress, Executioner, and Coat of Arms. However, it quickly becomes very clear that these heroes aren't exactly in the business of preserving life. The team kills 2 of the robbers almost immediately, Enchantress turns another one into a dog, and Egghead puts another into a coma that lasts for 30 years. After the pretty horrendous and horrific beatdown, the team heads to a bar to get some drinks, and then Enchantress teleports them all back to Invisible Manor. From here, it becomes pretty evident that the group of heroes is fairly morally vacuous. Executioner is a murderer who idolizes the Punisher. Big Zero is a racist who's also manipulating the synthezoid Egghead and changing his programming to be, shittier. Enchantress and Coat of Arms are also fairly petty and self-serving, and the only person that seems to actually want to be a hero is the team leader, Melter. This new Young Avengers team is met by the old and existing Young Avengers, who are not too happy that they are using their name, and from this point on, in order to distinguish the two teams, I will refer to the new morally screwed up team as the Young Masters. A fight breaks out between the two teams, but Melter and Patriot are able to talk their respective units down. The Young Avengers then decide to determine if any of the new teams should be part of the actual Young Avengers team, and the next few issues really just serve to kind of understand the background of the new characters and to determine if any of them are actually even real heroes. But in order to keep this video simple, I did want to focus primarily on just the elements that have to do with Enchantress. out of most of the young masters, the only two that really seem to want to be heroes are Melter and Enchantress. Once Norman Osborn gets word of these new heroes, he sends troops disguised as Hydra to test the new team and determine if any of them have value. The experienced young Avengers and the young Masters team up. One of the young Avengers, Wiccan, is able to determine that there's something kind of off about Enchantress. Enchantress reveals a little bit about her backstory here and states that she was actually just a regular girl from Bronxton, Oklahoma, and when Thor transported New Asgard to Oklahoma, she woke up one day and just kinda had powers. If any of this doesn't make sense to you, feel free to check out our video on the comic book origins of Lady Loki, because that kind of sums up almost everything that you need to know there. Anyway, this doesn't really track well with Wiccan, and a bit later in the series, Vision is able to download the results of a test that Big Zero and Egghead had run on Enchantress. Vision and Wiccan determine from the results of the test that Enchantress could be a massive threat to the magical defenses of the team if allowed to join the Young Avengers. Why is she a threat to the Young Avengers, you ask? Well, a bit later, we see Norman Osborn speaking with Loki, the actual Loki, who is a female at this point in the comics, having been reborn in a body made for Sif. Osborn asks Loki if Enchantress is actually an Asgardian, to which Loki replies that she is, and also implies that Loki created her because she wanted to create mortal life. When Wiccan is informed that Enchantress is a creation of Loki, it's determined that she would relay the Invisible Mansion's magical defenses back to Loki if she's allowed to join. Thus, she's banned from the team. Eventually, Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers come face to face with the Young Avengers, and Norman states that he will decide who's actually an Avenger. This makes Patriot pretty mad as he doesn't view Osborn as a hero, and a fight breaks out that turns into a free-for-all. Osborn becomes aggravated with the battle and calls in the Sentry, who's meant to immediately end the conflict. However, Wiccan, Enchantress, and Coat of Arms bind the Sentry in magical chains and send him away. Wiccan informs Enchantress that she's a creation of Loki and pleads for Enchantress to choose to be good. But instead, Enchantress is able to teleport the entire Young Masters team away, and they kinda go into hiding for a little bit. Ultimately, that's really all I wanted to cover on the character today. I didn't want to take you through her entire history because I don't think it'll really be relevant to her character in the MCU. Within the show, we see that this variant of Loki is extremely hostile towards other Lokis, telling the main Loki that she doesn't want to be called by that name, and it's possible that within this multiverse, we will learn the origins of Sylvie were due to another Loki manipulating and creating her, or some other horrible act. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, and if you did, do all the things that YouTube needs you to do in order for this video to gain some traction. Like, subscribe, drop a comment below, all that junk. Thank you for watching this video. This has been Nick with Key Issues, and remember the motto, Enchantress over everything.